All right, well, my computer says that it's time to get started. We have 63 participants. And we're expecting a lot more than that. So all right, I'm reading some of the comments here in the chat. No, this is not Karen Ackles. Karen Ackles has the name on the account. I am Stephen May. I'm the confirmation director as of Sunday. And I'm here to talk to you about the new program. No matter how many times I practice webinar, it's not quite like the regular Zoom meetings, so I'm fumbling about. I do apologize. I'm going to press play on my slides and continue on through my slides. If somebody could throw in a chat and tell me that you can hear me, that would be great. Yay, all right, excellent. People can hear me. Perfect, thank you so much. And I assume you can see the welcome to our webinar sign here. Excellent, perfect. Well, welcome everyone. This has been a long time coming to where we're at right now. Confirmation program has been rock solid under Roger Gullo. He has done an excellent job. I've run a couple of different confirmation programs in my past, and I must say that I've been nothing but blown away by how well Roger's done over the years. But in order to pursue some other things in his life, Roger has stepped down, and Father Brian asked me to step up to fill in that gap. And wouldn't you know, it's a COVID year. So there's going to be some differences, and that's a lot of what I'm going to explain tonight. For those of you who are in Confirmation 1, you're going to hear all about Confirmation, of course, and for those of you in Confirmation 2 who went through it last year, you're going to see what the differences are on this. But first, let me begin with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Loving and merciful Father, we come to you this evening asking for your blessing and help as we gather together, not physically, but in mind and spirit. The current pandemic has caused tremendous change in our lives, and tonight we will be discussing even more change. Change is stressful, O Lord, so we come before you tonight asking your help in keeping our hearts open to the challenges that lie before us. We pray for guidance and ask that you would show us ways to bring this beautiful faith your Son Jesus taught us to our confirmation candidates with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Help us to work together and encourage each other to achieve excellence, because we know it is the souls of our children that are at stake, O Lord. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. So just as a little introduction for people who don't know me, I've been working at St. Mary's for over 2 years now. I've been the pastoral associate. And now I'm stepping up to also include the confirmation director. So I didn't get any loss of responsibilities. I just got new ones. Prior to this, I was the director of ministries and director of religious education at a 3-parish collaborative in Hyde Park. Prior to that, I spent 2 years as a youth minister at Holy Cross Parish in Easton. And intermixed throughout all of this, I've been a part-time hospice chaplain. I started this little faith career by teaching 11th grade morality and 12th grade bioethics at Coyle and Cassidy High School in Taunton, where all 3 of my children went. That came on the end of my business career in 2011. I ended as a senior vice president of global marketing for a very large medical device company. I have a bachelor's of science in engineering physics, an MBA, an MA in theology, and will be ordained as a permanent deacon this coming October 3rd. Enough about me. I know what you all are going through. I see it every day. I talk to you all. There's a lot of going on, and COVID is making it more challenging. There's a lot of work that you all have to do. You're working from home maybe, or working different places, or some people are out of work. There's travel all over town, albeit there's probably a lot less in airplanes, but some of you I know continue in that area. Now you're homeschooling children of multiple ages. There is or isn't sports. Some of that we're playing day to day, trying to look for daycare. Some of you are doing elder care. I'm doing elder care myself, and I've already buried 4 parents. So it's something that just keeps happening. Some of you might be trying to do adult learning on top of this, and the thought that you've got to do religious ed too, I totally hear you. And I'm going to try to make this as easy and simple as possible. I want to rehash kind of where our thinking was of why this program has turned out the way it has. Our in-class model, this is our traditional model that we've always used. It's a proven method known to the parish. Very effective for small group discussions, which are so important to this, this confirmation program. It allows interaction between the leader and the candidates, but now in the days of COVID, we know that many of you families have expressed an insistence on a much safer model. Our meeting space is really not conducive to proper social distancing, and the amount of cleaning it would require. We didn't feel we had the manpower to keep up with the cleaning to do it in a proper way. The parent component on this was a little bit weak. Decision Point really emphasizes a parent model that we may not have taken full advantage of in the past. We want to look forward to something like that. And the Archdiocese of Boston will allow, but with significant restrictions that make meeting every week very, very time consuming. So this model was unfortunately tossed out pretty early on. The Zoom model we considered as well, and the idea of doing a live classroom, I'm trying to move my little mouse thing so I can move that out of the way. Live classroom teaching aspects were kept intact. Small group discussions could be possible with breakout groups in Zoom. It's perfect social distancing, but we figured there'd be a very big challenge when it came to teens slipping out of Zoom and into Doom or some other computer distraction. And we may not get the full attention that we were hoping for. So the idea of having parent supervision came up for that to make sure that the kids did what they were supposed to, and that fell flat too, because that would really hamper their full participation. So that wasn't considered for very long. And it would be just like they're getting a face full of right now at school. And one of my goals in this program is to make it feel as little like school as possible. And so we don't want to make it too much like school. Roger warned me to use 2 monitors and I didn't listen. The home study model, which is what we ended last year with, was identical to the spring 2020 program. Roger did a great job of putting those materials together in a very, very short period of time. Perfect for social distancing, but unfortunately he had to cut out the small group discussions. There was a complete reliance on the Dynamic Catholic videos and the written material. Parent participation was critical to keep the kids on track, and I know there was a lot of difficulty once the program became independent, keeping the kids on track and getting things done. They were also burdened with 2-hour lessons that seemed rather burdensome at times. There was No corporal works of mercy in the program at all. And Roger was getting, every time a lesson went out, he was getting at least 400 emails on this. So the home study model didn't look real appetizing either. So we started looking at hybrid classes. We first thought of maybe a Zoom and in-class hybrid model, but that didn't meet muster either. Too many cons. No, everybody would lose on something like that. So we finally came up with another hybrid model, which we think is really going to be able to address all the needs that we have. So this new concept is it's an in-home independent study model for using Decision Point, as well as a Zoom component. And I'll get into all the details of this. This is going to give everyone a sense of safety during COVID, perfect social distancing. We found a way of doing small group discussions over Zoom. There's no direct parent supervision required at all. Parent participation is minimal and will never include being a catechist. Formation is mainly self-paced, and it can seem a less school-like and more like faith formation, which is a difficult goal, but we're going to try it. Some interaction between the leader and the candidates, and one of the things that we've just overcome within the last week or so is minimal email use. But the one con is the parents still need to take some responsibility for the progress of their child. And we'll discuss that as we go along. So to compare the old program and the new, we are not going to be doing any in-person meetings. In fact, the earliest I foresee seeing the kids would be May of 2021. We are still going to use the Dynamic Catholic Decision Point program, but we're going to reintroduce small group discussions, reintroduce the works of mercy in a very new way. We're going to emphasize parent involvement in this program, but in a very simple and I think very advantageous way, and try to make it a lot less school-like. So traditionally, Roger had always put 6 of the sessions, there are 12 sessions of Decision Point, he put 6 of them into half of a year and gave people the choice. So kids were working on 2-hour chunks of time, all jammed into one season, which was advantageous for people who just wanted to get it over with. But that seemed to fall apart a bit when it was independent study. So, so this year we decided to just move it to an entire full year. So it's still going to be 6 sessions in the first year, Confirmation 1, 6 sessions in Confirmation 2, but we're going to spread it out throughout the entire year. And we're even going to cut each session in half to make all of the pieces digestible by the kids. Again, trying to avoid that this feels too much like school. Oh my God, I have so much work to do. I don't want to do this. I don't see the point in this, blah, blah, blah. So we hope we can get some traction by giving it to the kids in smaller bites, making it a little bit easier. There has been a separate path for Catholic high school students. We're going to erase that and kind of put the Catholic high school students with everyone else. But there will be an asterisk on that for the Catholic high school kids. It'll make it just a little bit easier, because I don't want, you know, they're doing some of this work, not all of it, but they're doing some of it in the schools. So first off, I just want to establish some use of vocabulary. It took us a long time to come up with this vocabulary, so I want to make sure everybody understands it. First, in that little box there, we are talking Confirmation 1 is the first year of Confirmation Prep. Confirmation 2 is the second year of Confirmation Prep. This is a model that the Archdiocese asks us to use. It's not our idea. And it is also the model that Decision Point uses. So so it fit rather nicely. We're going to use the term season to mean a half of a year. So the fall season or the spring season. So October to December or January to May. So you hear me mention seasons throughout this. We're also going to use the word session. That is one chapter of the Decision Point book. That's the way it's always been. It's 1 through 12, session 1 through session 12. But we're going to break it in half. So instead of calling it half a session, we're going to call it a conference. So there's this is also one set of work, if you will, for each of the candidates. There are 2 conferences for each decision point session, so it's half of the session. There's a day that the material is available to them, and there's a deadline that they need to finish their reflections by, and that will make up that conference. Within each conference, we're asking the candidates to have 3 conversations. The first one we're calling Conversation with Yourself and God, which is very much the meat of the decision point program. And then these are the ones that we've added outside of decision point. Is the first is Conversation with Your Friends. This is where the kids used to sit and have table discussions, which was easy. And that's such a critical part of this program, is for them to be able to share their ideas with their peers, hear what their peers are thinking, and work together on a peer-to-peer level to understand where they're at in their lives and their relationship with God. So we want to replace that with a Zoom meeting that the kids will be doing, so that they'll still have that opportunity to share their thoughts with each other. And the final conversation is with your parents. So we're gonna, and I'll explain this again in a few minutes, how this works, but basically we're gonna ask each person, each candidate during their conference to have a very brief conversation with their parents on a specific subject. And parents, you'll know all about it way ahead of time. Also, we had a program, phenomenal program, and it should be in this program if it weren't for COVID, which was the Corporal Works of Mercy and Service program. This is very traditional in all of these confirmation programs to do it this way. But unfortunately, the Archdiocese has asked us not to have any service programs where the children would be leaving home and out in public doing things. So it's not safe. So instead, we're going to work instead of the corporal works of mercy, we're going to use the spiritual works of mercy, which is a little bit trickier, and I'll show you how that works as it goes. But it's going to follow the same point system, if you will. So the same spirit of the system is there. So goals of the program will be, number one, to understand that CCD, I used to say to people, if you can tell me what CCD stands for, I'll let you use it. It's over. CCD ended at the end of 8th grade. They learned all their theology. They learned all their, prayers and how many books of the Bible there are and all that good stuff. Now it's time for faith formation. Now it's time to develop a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And this isn't something you learn from a book. This is something you learn from having conversations with people, and talking amongst yourselves and really understanding who Jesus is and why it's important to have him in your life. We also want to strengthen the candidate's role in what the church calls the domestic church, which is also known as the family. So in your families, we want to have your candidate, your teen, playing a bigger role in the faith of the family. And lastly, one of my favorite sayings: God first, others second, me third. It's a very basic Christian view that we really want the kids to really understand and internalize. I used to say to kids back at Coyle and Cassidy, I said, the world seems to be me first, others second, God a distant third, and the world seems to be messed up. What would happen if we turned that around? Could we turn the world around? And that's kind of what we're hoping to accomplish here. So what will the candidates experience? The candidates are going to go onto our website after a specific date. The first one is October 5th. And they'll watch a series of Decision Point and other videos online, and they're going to reflect as directed. I sometimes will call them questions, but I hesitate to call them questions. Sounds too school-like. But they're going to be kind of starting points for, what did you get out of that video? How did that speak to you? They're never going to be answering, there were 12 disciples, 10 commandments and all that stuff. They're going to be talking about their own feelings about this. and reflecting on it. How does this relate to me and my life? They're going to engage also in a Zoom meeting with their small group, and they're going to have a non-academic discussion with you, their parents. Once they've had those last two discussions, they can go back onto the conference, submit, a copy comes to the parish, and an automatic copy is sent to you. So you will see all of the questions that they worked on. You will see everything they wrote about them. Candidates can also, on that form, submit questions about the material. Towards the end of when the material is due, I will be collecting all of those questions, and I will be creating a video where I answer all those questions. I'm not going to say, well, Johnny asked us this. No names, they're all anonymous questions. But if one child has it, a lot of kids have it. So I want to answer all those in a video, and then give them some direction. And so I'll be their teacher for that. But they'll be getting a recording of me instead of live, because there's just too many kids to be putting on. They're not going to deal well with a webinar, and I can't fit them all into Zoom meeting. So the kids will also work on WorksPoints. And my guess is that it should take about 12 hours per year for them to do the online portions. They'll have about 6 hours dedicated to the WorksPoints. They'll probably have about 6 hours of conversations with you. It totals about 24 hours divided by 8 months. So you get about 3 hours per month. So it's a lighter load. They're going to be completely overwhelmed by Zoom type of things from school. So I'll never be able to compete with that. So for Catholic high school students, we're going to let them out of some of that writing, but we do expect them to have these conversations, because the conversations are something they're just not having as part of a Catholic school experience. So I'll get back to that. Parent experience, what's it going to be like for you? Well, number one, and most important, we do not expect you to be a catechist at all. You don't need to know anything that you don't know already. We will ask you, however, to attend 3 30-minute parent meetings in the fall and another 3 in the spring. They're all very spread out, multiple weeks between them. The meetings are designed to prepare you to have these non-academic conversations with your teen. Every one of these you could have immediately, but we want to be able to give you the material, show you what the kids are going to be dealing with over the next 2 conferences, and you'll have talking points so that you can have this non-academic conversation with your child. That will have a hard stop at 7:30. I'm not into wasting people's time, so we want to do a hard stop right at 7:30. I will stay on, and we will switch gears, and anyone who wants to stay, we're going to do an additional meeting where we go a little bit deeper into theological content, and you're welcome to stay with that if you want, or not. That's the optional component. In addition, I will record all of those meetings, and I will make them available. There'll be a link on the website where you can watch them afterward. My goal is not to torture you and make you show up for tons of meetings. My goal is that you have very fruitful conversations with your child. And so whatever way I can get this information to you so that you can have those conversations, that's the only thing I'm thinking about, is those conversations. So I've spent a lot of time preparing things, practice putting them up on Zoom meeting, only to find out that that function doesn't exist on Zoom webinar, so I can't give them to you tonight. I'll email them to you tomorrow. And I will hope that the parent will be responsible for reviewing the child's submission. So you're going to get that email, and literally every question and everything your child wrote, you'll get a copy of. So please take a look at that and kind of trace your child's progress through this program. My expectations for you would be about 4 hours a year coming to the non-academic webinars, if you will. You'll have about 6 hours a year of conversations with your teen, 2 hours reviewing their work. It's about 12 hours in a year. and it works out to about 90 minutes a month. So I'm trying not to overwhelm you. And again, you don't need to know anything that you don't know already. And I'm trying desperately to run everything on one monitor, like Roger told me not to. I'm seeing something. What about the retreat? Oh, the retreat's coming up. Hold on, I'll talk about the retreat. So this is the schedule. One of the things I'll be emailing you instead of downloading to you tonight is a very nice, colorful calendar that you can hang on the refrigerator so you know exactly when all these things are. But basically, those are the dates. They are not option 1, option 2 dates. They are confirmation 1, confirmation 2 dates. So option 2 is watch it on the recording. So there'll be a live one. So if you like to ask questions, come to the live one. If you couldn't care less about asking questions, you can just watch it on a recording. There'll be 7 to 30 hard stop. And then, like I said, we'll do the other one afterward. It's going to give you an overview of all their material that the kids will be looking at. It'll give you some talking points and allow you to ask any questions that you want to. We're so on to corporal works of mercy. Yeah, I'll explain the whole works of mercy thing in just a second. Yes, all points that have ever been accumulated are still there and will not go away. And so this is a continuation of the program, so nobody has to repeat anything on that. The non-academic discussions, Decision Point anticipates that the candidates will have discussions with their parents, but this hasn't always been emphasized when this program's been run in various parishes, and I'm not sure the level that Roger got into it on. But there are themes, for example, in session 1, learn how to make good choices, the effects of peer pressure, following your conscience, virtue, self-control, etc. So these are kind of the areas that we're going to have you tell a story about your life when you made a good choice or something like that. You know, it'll help your child pull the whole picture together by having you tell them some stories from the past. The advanced meetings, like I said, will be more theological in nature, where we can get into understanding Catholic views on reason and conscience and Catholic understanding of free will and different things like that. I can answer any of those questions. This is kind of an overview of where the dates are. Unfortunately, the pretty calendar one, you'll have to wait until tomorrow. But we are going to start out October 5th. That'll be a parent meeting for Confirmation 1. The following evening will be the parent meeting for Confirmation 2. And I promise you, it will be no more than 30 minutes. Absolutely. And then the following conference, there is no parent meeting because you're going to get 2 conferences of material all at once, all in that 30 minutes. And then you can see how it goes. So this is the first part of it. Forgive me that I'm going to move through this quickly, but I'll give you a nice pretty picture tomorrow on it. And then the whole thing ends up by about May 2nd. And then we'll get into how we're going to run confirmation in July. The small meeting, the small group meetings on Zoom, we're going to, once we know who's in the program and how many small group leaders we have, we will put kids in groups of 5 to 18. I hope it's as small as possible. I'd love to see them in groups of 3, but we have to have a small group leader for each of those. The small group leader is going to kind of have a Zoom account and set up the Zoom meeting, and then kind of lead just like they would at the tables, where they led the discussions. Candidates don't need to have a Zoom account. They'll just, only the small group leader does, and the free account works perfect. There's no need to do anything more than the free account. But I estimate the time will be maybe 15, 20 minutes tops for the kids. They're allowed to talk longer. Zoom will let you talk for 40 minutes, and they can talk about whatever they want after they hit the business. And so the small group leader training meetings are going to start next week. And I'll show you how, in a few minutes, how to sign your child up if that's something they'd like to do. Small group leaders are like the table leaders. This year, they're going to initiate the conferences, like I said. The sign up is on the webpage. You can find it in the confirmation sections. That's the actual link right there. They'll attend one Zoom training on Wednesday, the 23rd at 7 p.m., or I'll do it again on Sunday, the 27th at 3 p.m., depending on which one is good. And they just have to have access to a Zoom account. So the small group leader is not to be the primary speaker. In fact, good leaders speak less. So they're just there to keep the conversation going. They will also not be responsible for disciplining. If things get out of hand, turn it over to me and I'll deal with it. The advantages are, there's two big advantages to becoming a small group leader. One is they get 2 works points for each conference. So if they do all 12, they really don't do any spiritual works of mercy work because they did it all as a small group leader. So if you're into leading people and not doing the spiritual works of mercy, this is a great program for you. Also, it looks very good on college applications to say, hey, I was a small group leader for 2 years at my parish. We had over 25 small group leaders in Confirmation 1 last year. We're running a little bit lower numbers this year, so I'm anticipating we need at least about 20. Some people have jumped and found the form and sent it to me. I could probably have about 10 people signed up so far. And you can go to that link there for more information. Communications, namely with me, all email communications by the director will be to you, the parents. I found out recently that my secondary assignment as a deacon is to the Office of Child Advocacy. So the Corys, protecting God's children, all that good stuff. And adults sending emails to children just doesn't feel right to me. So I will be communicating with you directly with things and asking you to share this information with your child. Candidates are free to email me. I'm not going to stop that. They can email me, but my answer will go back to you, CC'd to them, or it will be provided in the video that I do. That's enough on communications. Decision Point book. Those of you who are now in Confirmation 1, these are the 6 subjects that we're going to be covering this year. The books, we are getting you a book, even though all the material that you'll need will be in the forms that the kids will be filling out online. But the book is so phenomenal and has such great content. Number one, I think you're going to want to read it if you haven't read it already. It's just really a terrific resource to have around the house. This is the stuff for the second Confirmation 2 subjects. Next up, again, trying my technology here. I got a video next to show you. It's about a 3-minute video, and I'm hoping you hear it. Just send into the chat. Can't hear this at all, and and if you can't hear it.
Decision Point began with a dream to give you, catechists, youth ministers, sponsors, parents, pastors, and directors of religious education the tools you need to engage young Catholics in a meaningful conversation about the genius of Catholicism in preparation for the sacrament of confirmation. Catechesis is the Church's efforts to bring to life the teachings of Jesus Christ in the lives of ordinary men, women, and children. Religious education classes are one of the primary forms of catechesis. But evangelization precedes catechesis. Evangelization is first and foremost a dialogue. It's not a monologue. Evangelization is a personal and powerful conversation that leads to the conversion of heart, mind, and soul. And let's face it, our young people need to be evangelized. They need to hear the gospel in a way that's fresh, intriguing, relevant, compelling, and attractive. Too often, we make the mistake of assuming that they have made a choice for Christ and His church, when the great majority of them have not. They need to be boldly invited to choose Christ and the church. The theology of confirmation informs us that it is about God choosing us. but we are endowed with free will. And so for God to do his best work in us and through us, we need to respond and cooperate as Mary and the saints did. It is our hope that Decision Point will not only prepare young Catholics for the sacrament of confirmation in a dynamic way, but also teach and inspire them to respond and cooperate with God's grace in all the circumstances of their daily lives long after confirmation has passed. These materials are the result of thousands of hours of work. More than 700 people have been involved in the process. Never before has a Catholic program been developed with such rigorous research, development, and testing. Yes, testing. Over and over, we have put these materials in front of teens and asked them to tell us what was working and what wasn't. Over and over, we refined our offering based on that feedback. And we're not finished yet. For decades, we have been using programs that were developed once and never changed, or changed every 10 years. That is not the case with Decision Point. We hope you will continue to provide us feedback so that we can continuously improve Decision Point. Whatever role you play in preparing young Catholics for confirmation, we realize it may be a thankless job. So we want to thank you. Thank you for all you're doing for these young people. Thanks for all you're doing for the church. And when it gets a little bit rough, I want you to think about that young person who's going to come up to you in the grocery store 20 years from now and say, "Thanks for leading me through Decision Point. That changed my life." It's our hope and prayer that Decision Point will help make your experience with today's Catholic teens infinitely more fulfilling for you and for them. There's a moment in each person's life when our eyes get wide and begin to sparkle. At Dynamic Catholic, we call that the "I get it now" moment. We hope that our effort combined with your dedication will produce more "I get it now" moments for Catholic teens. May the grace of our abundantly generous God inspire you and give you courage, wisdom, and patience to do this great work.
And now you can join me in like having that accent in your sleep from, just listening to it over and over again. Matthew Kelly is a brilliant, brilliant man who has done a lot of good stuff. This program is one of his finest works of art. And I'm very proud to be working with it. There is also an app that you can get on the App Store or on Google Play. It basically, it's just a link to all the videos. Like I said, all the videos the kids will need are going to be on the websites that I provide them, but there's also links on our regular website so you can look at all the videos at one time. This app can get you to the videos. I suggest you watch them if you have the bandwidth for that. They are absolutely fantastic and you'll get a lot out of it, and it'll enhance the faith that your family has. The spiritual works of mercy. Okay, so I know that there's been a huge rumble in the background of what are we going to do about, service points. I see a question on here about somebody who is doing service points somewhere else and do they count? Traditionally, I don't know how Roger handled duplication of points, at other places, but this particular program is so unique. I highly doubt anyone's doing anything just like it. But so I'm going to try to play around with my mouse here and see if I can get you to, I want to show you the website. Hold on one second. And that. And I want to bring up, bear with me. And Zoom share, but not that one. Let's share. And new share. Forgive me, I'm not as technically competent as I claim. So the Works Points program, this is right from our website, and you can check this out after the conference. It'll kind of explain to you why we're using the spiritual works of mercy instead of the corporal works of mercy, which are the traditional service hours that you get wherever you go. In this case, we are going to be looking at, and if you can see these bullets here, it says instruct. Oh no, you can't see yet. Hold on. There we go. Now I'm sharing again. Anyway, so this is on our website, the Works Points program. You can find this webpage right on our website. The spiritual works of mercy: instruct the ignorant, counsel the doubtful, admonish the sinner, bear patiently those who wrong us, forgive offenses, comfort the sorrowful, and pray for the living and the dead. I'm sure you've, at least that sounds vaguely familiar to you at some point. Somebody may have taught that to you or mentioned it in some of the lessons that your children did prior to this program. The corporal works of mercy are feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, et cetera, et cetera. They're all about using your hands to help somebody. So service hours make great sense for that. And kids love doing that sort of thing. And I love doing it with them. I've taken 107 kids to Appalachia to do a service project for 9 days. It's absolutely blow your mind. It's phenomenal stuff. We can't do it this year. We just can't do it. And you know, even the Archdiocese has said no, and Father Brian has decided to go along with that. So the only way in which I can actually get kids to participate while they're quarantined in their house and do works of mercy is by emphasizing the spiritual works of mercy. So I don't want to make this complicated, because I know with the corporal works, you're like, oh, well, they can go over to this place and hand out food at the food pantry at whatever. And, you know, you're left to pick your own and just do service hours. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So basically what I have done is I've created a list of 20, count them, 20 activities. And they're numbered on this page from 1 to 20. And each one of them has a title and a description. I'll show you a couple in just a second. Which spiritual work of mercy this falls under, how many points the activity is worth. They're worth anywhere from 1 to 3 points, depending on what they are. What the deliverables are, because instead of hours or filling out a log or something like that, what we're going to do is we're going to have them produce a deliverable. They're going to send a card to grandma because she's sick. Take a picture of the card, send us a picture. Points given. Things like that. So some of my favorites in here: teach prayers. A primary focus of First Communion program at most parishes to just teach students at least the 2 essential prayers of our faith, the Our Father and the Hail Mary. If you have a younger sibling that's trying to learn these prayers, volunteer to help them learn them. It's called instructing the ignorant. You get a point for this one. You got to get approval from you, the parent, because you're responsible for your child's learning in the faith, and you have to give permission for someone else, aka your candidate for confirmation, to do that. And then we put the name of the sibling, which times and dates did they meet to do these lessons. Boom, done. Here's a 3-pointer. St. Mary's offers the sacrament of reconciliation, also known as confession, during COVID by appointment only. But it is also available at the Fatima Shrine in Holliston. It's at La Salette down in Attleboro. This is known as admonish the sinner, yourself in this particular case. It's a big 3-pointer because everyone loves to go to reconciliation. Record the date and time of the sacrament and make sure your parent knew that you went and let them acknowledge it. And boom, 3 points are yours. You'll notice that there's a limit on these things. So the limit means how often you can do it. We obviously don't want kids going to reconciliation 8 times the first season of the program and saying, I'm done with my works points. So kind of spread your wings and try a few different things. Extend forgiveness. People are flawed. People make mistakes. When you make terrible choices, it hurts someone you love or with whom you have a strong bond of friendship. You may strongly hope that they will forgive you and strive to make things right between you. When someone hurts you, can you extend forgiveness to them? Look up Matthew 18:21-35. Verbally forgive someone who hurt you. Let go of the grudges. Go out of your way to be positive with someone with whom you're having a difficult time. For a lot of kids, this is very, very challenging. They have to get some guts up for this. They too are made in the image and likeness of God. Pray for those who have wronged you and pray for the courage to forgive them. So you'll see here it says forgive offenses is the spiritual work of mercy. You get 2 points for this one. The deliverable is something called a verbatim. Below this on the webpage, there's an explanation as to what a verbatim is. It's basically a 300-word essay. It's a short little, this big essay on what did the dialogue look like when I forgave this person. I said this, they said that, whatever. And they just do that as best they can from their memory and submit that. Boom, points. So these are the kinds of things. I encourage you to look at all of them and work with your child to pick the ones that kind of call to them. Some of these are people are going to be like, eh. Others people are going to be like, oh, I can do that easy. That's a great one. So so there's different things for people to go with. All right, there's the explanation on verbatims down the bottom. So I hope that makes sense. My little chat box just disappeared while I've been messing around here. Let me pause one more time and get my other thing back and resume the share. All right. So I hope that answered a bunch of the things about how we're going to do the point system. So I'm making it easy. There's 20 to pick from. They can all be done in isolation with very little outside activity. So please take a look at those. And if you have questions, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them after that. But I know that's been a big talk and I wanted to do that here. Another thing I just wanted to talk about briefly was mass attendance. I know that we're in the times of COVID. I know it's, you know, the Archdiocese believes only about 25% of people have come back to Mass. The numbers are actually a little lower than that at St. Mary's, or under 20% have come back to Mass. But we're working very hard to make it a safe and spiritually enriching environment. And one of my favorite memes is there on the side, you know, of reasons I don't shower. You know, I shower on special occasions like Easter and Christmas, things like that. So I know that this, some of the kids try to get out of this all the time, but there are some really good reasons for going to Mass. This is to respond to God's love, pure and simple. He calls us, he loves us, he calls us to love him, and this is our response by going to Mass. It's a place where we can encounter Christ. We gather and pray as a parish family. Here in New England, we're used to bumping into each other and walking past without saying hello too many times. But the people that we go to Mass with are our family. That's our parish family, and we can gather with them, we can pray with them. I know some people say, oh, I don't need a church to pray to God. Well, yeah, but church helps. And it's a place where we can be as a parish family. We strengthen our particular family when we bring our entire family to Mass. Is a way of strengthening our family. You can provide a witness and legacy to your children by just, you know, showing them that you enjoy going to Mass. We're transformed by sacramental grace in the Eucharist. It's one of the best things about Catholicism. We have the Eucharist, and we get to participate in Jesus's victory over death. Too many people in the secular world today just think you die and go to heaven. Well, Jesus didn't say that. So as far as Mass, I hope when you feel safe, I hope you'll be able to bring your children to Mass. So the attendance policy, I figured I'd do one here because, you know, people like to know what the attendance policy is. There's nothing to show up for. So you never have to call in, we won't make it. So it's independent study. So you're going to be, you know, you'll be hearing about your the the parent discussion piece, and at the same time, the materials for your child will become available. The links will become available. And you go from there. There's a span of time. There's a couple times where it's only a week, but only because of schedules, we had to do it that way. I would prefer 2 to 3 weeks between these, but everything can be done independently except the conversation with friends. That's going to get scheduled amongst the kids. Parents are expected to help keep the candidates on track to complete everything on time. I really help with that. I'll be sending you a document called Parent Responsibilities, which kind of gives you a kind of a outline of the things that I think are important to keep an eye on. You don't have to be a hawk, but you just to be aware of what's going on. Someone else asked if on the chat before it disappeared from my screen, whether or not we could get a copy of this. Yes, I have a copy of it, all ready to send you. And if we were on Zoom meeting, you'd have it by now. But Zoom webinar, no. Sponsors and names, for those of you in confirmation 2, you can like refresh your drink at this point, unless of course you didn't get it done by the end of last year. Stay for the scolding. For those in confirmation 1, by the end of confirmation 1, you need to fill out a form, which is now online. It's not a piece of paper anymore. It's not, I created an online form for it, where you give the sponsor's information and the name that you've chosen for confirmation. The kids are going to hear about all this in confirmation 1 in November. Sponsor, to be clear, just needs to be a practicing Catholic in good standing. In other words, they're not in trouble with the church, which hardly anyone is anymore. And the purpose of it is to replace the parent as the primary educator of the faith and to be a lifetime spiritual coach. You can be a lifetime spiritual coach, but you can't replace yourself. So parents are not allowed to be sponsors for that reason. And then the confirmation name, I know some kids have a real fun time with this. And so you will have a copy of this presentation. You can just click on that link. It's a Life Teen link. Anything from Life Teen is just really cool. And it's a great list of confirmation names for guys and girls. As long as we get all that done by May 2nd, we'll have no problems. So before I take you to the rest of the website and wrap this up, I want to mention something that's very, very critical. You signed up your child, you registered your child using a specific email address. Please, please, please continue to use that exact email address for everything, including when your child goes on to do the conference, they need to put that email address into the conference. So that's kind of like the password, if you will, now. They put their name in, and then they have to put the password that ensures that all the data, because everything's being done automatically behind the scenes, and I've got a degree in software engineering from taking this over. But it all pivots on that email address. So please make sure your child knows how to spell your email address and all that good stuff. And make sure they know how to type it. They're going to have to type it in twice so they don't mess it up, and etc. Don't let them use their own email addresses. It'll get lost. Nothing will happen. We're going to be yelling at you that you didn't do your thing, and they're going to be like, yeah, I did, but they put the wrong email address in. So they have to use yours. Let me try once again to maneuver this crazy thing here. Come on, babies. There you go. Close the share. You share. Go to my website again. And resume share. All right. I did it right, didn't I? Maybe. I hope. Confirmation overview. This is your confirmation overview. You'll see the decision point information here, stuff about the book, why we're doing it this way, elements of the program. You can read all that in your spare time. I've already covered it. Sacrament of Confirmation is an old page now because we just did it this past weekend. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, well attended. Social media went crazy with it. It was great. The confirmation schedule, your child will be going to this page often. if you're looking at what I'm looking at, you're seeing confirmation program schedule, confirmation 1. Life is Choices is the first one. The material is released on October 5th, and it has a deadline of October 18th. This blue button right now does absolutely nothing. But on October 5th, it's how they get into their conference. So they just click that button right there, and all will be well. And for those in confirmation 2, you're going to be a day delayed because I can't do two parent meetings in one night. So I'll do the second one, the confirmation 2 guys on the 6th, and that button will go live. The conference 1 button for all the second year people. They'll be learning about the Eucharist. And other dates, these are the dates for all the parent sessions that I told you about. And I guarantee 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, we're done. The retreats right now, I know that the people last year got cut out of a retreat, so we're going to do double retreats at the end of this year. Don't write those dates down. I've even got big words tentative, because if social distancing is over, then yes, this is the way it's going to be. But if we still have social distancing rules, I got to get these kids together. And my whole goal here is to do it outdoors and very youth ministry like. So it should be fun. And sponsor name selection. You can see certain links here. You can go to the sponsor form. The last thing I want to show you here without boring you to tears. Wait a minute. There it is. Oh, it keeps thinking that I'm going to use that toolbar, and I'm not. All right, try this. Bring it down here and hit this. Okay. This is what one of the sessions that the kids will be working on looks like. So this is, let's say the candidate's name is John Smith. And there's the parent email, the almighty email. It's entered twice. I preloaded this so to make it easier. You're going to see that there's going to be some fun facts. If there's a video from me, it'll appear here. And they hit the arrow right, and they get the conversation with yourself and God. There's an opening prayer, objectives, and as you can see, the videos are embedded right into the website. There's multiple choice questions. This is what ideas from this video did you find most helpful? It's an opinion question. All these are opinions. There's not right or wrong on anything that they do here. We talk a little bit about how dangerous cell phone use is and get into that. There's another video. And then there are certain questions, things like, who do you know who's a great decision maker? What makes this person a great decision maker? They're not thinking about the video at this point. They're thinking about their own lives. Who in their own life makes great decisions? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's some other relative. Maybe it's somebody, some other adult they know, or even, I don't know if it'll be a kid, but in all cases, I put how many sentences minimum they should do, because I know kids love to know that. How many sentences do I put? Okay. So we go in there. There's a little thing about Joan of Arc. Don't tell them the questions ahead of time. This is literally the one that the kids on October 5th are getting. Then you go to conversation with friends, how to prepare for your call, some information so that they can easily talk to each other. Then after the call, what did you and your friends talk about? They fill it in a couple of sentences. Then they move on to conversation with your parents. And this is what they're going to see on this. Your parent told you a story about a time when they had the courage to stand up and do the right thing. What impressed you most about their story? If you told them a story during your conversation of a time when you had the courage to stand up and do the right thing, then that's in their head, and they'll reflect on that. The important part here is what impressed you most about their story, not the details of the story. I don't need the story rehashed. What impressed you about their story? That's kind of the way it goes. And then the last part, we'll start with a closing prayer. And then it's weird to be looking at my name with a deacon in front of it, but by the time anyone sees this other than you, that's the way it'll be. They can ask any questions they want, and I'll answer those. That's optional. They don't have to fill that in if they don't want to, if they don't have any questions. And then they just hit the submit button, and you get an email, I get an email. So, and we work at it that way. All right, so give me just a couple more minutes and I'm going to wrap this up and share back to my desktop. Share. All right. Where'd my presentation go? Oh, it disappeared. All right. Zoom share. Now you're seeing that again. Go like that. All right. So that's the retreat information. I got to pick the rain weekend, but again, we'll have to see how COVID goes. Frequently asked questions. How do I pick up the book? This is I tried to anticipate your questions. How do I pick up the book? Karen Ackles will be sending you an email when all the books for all the grades come in to minimize the number of trips that people have to make over to the school building. So when she sends you an email, she'll tell you when to come and get it. That book will be part of it, and you can come and pick up the book. People from that are in Confirmation 2, you should already have a book. So we only ordered them for year 1. If you lost yours in Confirmation 2, shame on you, but we probably have a couple extras. Next one is, will the program go live classroom? If Franklin schools go back to live classroom? I would not count on that. We've gone deep down, entrenched in this, and switching gears could end up causing a lot of challenges to the way in which we're doing the program. So I anticipate that this will be the way it is for this year, and God Almighty, please don't make me do this again. I really hope that this is the only year we have to do it this way. Another question comes up frequently: can we do this in 1 year instead of 2? No. The Archdiocese wants us to do it in 2. Decision Point wants us to do it in 2. There are conversations with friends that are spread out in that are not independent studies. So no, there's no real way for people to do this at a pace other than to spread it out over the 2 years. What if my teen misses the conversations with friends? This has been one of our concerns, and we obviously have to anticipate that might happen. The first thing they should do is contact somebody in their group and kind of get the notes on what was discussed, and then from those notes, I guess, try to interpret how the conversation went. Worst case, we can pair people up that all missed, and they can have their own conversations at another time. But having those conversations is really the backbone of this program, and not having it was very detrimental. Roger and I agreed that it hurt the program significantly. So we want to do everything we can to get that conversation with friends happening. What if my child chooses not to have the 3 conversations in each conference? What if they choose not to do their math homework? What if they choose not to write that book report? There's not much we can do on this end other than to make you aware of what is missing. Can we work ahead if we know we're going to be unavailable for a long period of time? There's in almost all cases, there's quite a bit of time between these. So I can't imagine people are disappearing for long periods of time. So I don't anticipate that there's a need to do things like that. Try to manage the time. I know kids like to wait until the last minute to do stuff, but it's hopefully they can try to get some of this out of the way and then leave the last 2 conversations to a little bit later, and then get it all done within the period of time. How can I sign my candidate up to be a small group leader? Please go to, there's on the right-hand side, with the sidebar on the website, all of that is, there's a link on there for how to sign up as a small group leader. So, and I will ask anything else, but I am not looking at your questions because I can't see them. So I'm gonna go to your questions absolutely last. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just say, the Sacrament of Confirmation will probably be in September of 2021. The numbers may warrant that we'll do 2 of them instead of 3 of them. Maybe we'll do 3 of them, who knows? We won't know the dates until spring of 2021. That is when the Archdiocese will notify us, and we will let all confirmation parents know at that time. So let me just close with a quick prayer, and then I'm going to try to find all your questions. So bear with me for just a second. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Good and gracious God, we thank you for your guidance this evening. We have much to do to prepare our parish teens to receive your grace in the sacrament of confirmation. And we ask for your continued blessings on our candidates, their friends, and their parents as we all embark on this new journey. May the Lord bless us, protect us from all evil, and bring us to everlasting life. Amen. All right, let me get rid of my slides because they annoy me. And okay, and get rid of that. And we're back to my meeting. Back to meeting. Back to meeting. Hello. All right, I see Q&A here. Hi, Stephen. Quick question. Will you be sending this presentation? Yes, I will be sending this presentation. I'm sorry about the notes. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sending you the whole presentation. The video won't be there because it'll be in a PDF, but everything else. But you can find the video online as well. Could you please outline what the Catholic school students are required to do? They're required to do everything except for the parts, the written parts about the videos. They should watch the videos, but I'm not going to hold them to writing anything about them. But the conversations should all take place, and they should work on the Spiritual Works of Mercy projects, because there's absolutely nothing going on at a private Catholic high school. I went to a absolutely spectacular private Catholic high school. I won't say which one's Zavarian, but you know, I know what they do at these schools, and this is a totally unique program. And the last person I know that got confirmed at a Catholic high school was me, and that was 1980. So let's see, are there 2 retreats, Confirmation 1 and Confirmation 2? Yes, there are 2 separate retreats. When the dates will be, that's just my guess. What's the best email address to reach me? You can reach me either at smay at stmarysfranklin.org or at confirmationdirector@stmarysfranklin.org. If it's, I'm hoping that people will say, well, it's about confirmation, I'll send it to confirmation director, because that gets a tremendous load of emails, whereas SMA is going to get completely overwhelmed if everybody sends confirmation questions. How candidate makeup missed from last year. Roger was asked to follow up, and one of his last things was just to anybody that needed to make up something, they were going to make it up on his program. So whatever Roger has going, so I will check with Roger on that one and see if anything that anybody missed. You people that missed something in Confirmation 1, you're on the old program for your makeup stuff, and Roger will help me with that, because that's not my emphasis. And let's see where the chat was. For conversations with friends, how will the kids be placed in small groups? That I haven't decided yet. That's a great question. I go by the onus of, you put 2 boys that are really good friends together and you have trouble, and you put 2 girls, if you separate girlfriends, you're in trouble. So we try to pair up girls and separate boys. But, you know, other than that, just that crazy statement, I'm going to ask Mrs. Ackles to help me significantly, because she knows the kids, and I'm going to try to balance the groups so that we don't have a large group of distracted individuals, or a group of people who none of whom talk, or, you know, people who never shut up altogether, you know, to try to have as best we can a mix. If for any reason that something's just painful in their small groups, please, you know, let us know, and we'll make a change. We want the groups to be functional. We really, really want the groups to be functional. It's 20 minutes every few weeks. So this isn't like it's a life sentence with each other. So I want it to be good. Yeah, there is no date for confirmation yet, because we have to find that out in spring. The Archdiocese does that. We don't. So it's the parishes can request, but we have to request first choice, second choice, I think it's down. Well, I think we only give 3 choices these days. Used to be 5 choices. Now I think it's 3. And then they pick one and they let us know when they're ready to let us know. So, and to clarify, conferences are the work that accompanies a session. Is the one chapter of Decision Point. We cut it in half and call each one of them a conference. And it's those 3 conversations. So it's the conversation with yourself and God, which is the Decision Point information. Then there's a conversation with friends and a conversation with parents. And those 3 together form a conference, which is a half a session. So they can log in. The start date is the first date they can run in. And then I depending on how if people behave, then I'm going to shut off the old one and light up the new one. But if people aren't behaving, and I've got 67% of the kids that never did the work, then obviously we need to keep the other one lit up for a while. But I do plan to shut it down because I don't want what we ended up with last spring. We had poor compliance with people getting things done. There was too much missed assignments. It was really a burden for Roger. I think it contributed to him leaving. Sorry, Roger, if that's not the truth. Yeah, there were an awful lot of kids that just didn't do the work last year. And he was really trying hard to keep everybody on task. So I'm trying to do that too, but in a different way. Yes, you're all getting this. Video is working great. Excellent. Thank you. And yes, you will receive all this information and more. I have the files that I have for you. You probably see my desktop here. I have this confirmation calendar for you. I'll open it up so you can see it. And I have things in front of it, but you probably don't. But that's what the calendar basically looks like. Nice color coded, when are the meetings type of thing. And I'll send that to you tomorrow, and how to navigate conferences. This is one that it's written to the kids. So it's teaching them how to get into the conferences and do their thing. So it's about a 6-page document, and it takes them step by step on how to fill out a conference. The next one, this one's the parent presentation that you just saw. And then this is one on parent responsibilities, which is just to put it in your perspective of how this all works and why we're involving you, to the level that we are. Because we think it's the best way to make it work, not because we want to burden you with anything, but I'm trying to keep that at an absolute minimum. So does, let me see, conversation with friends. Oh yeah, we got that. Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm running up 7, or am I, no, I'm still got a few minutes, but I'll answer any questions that somebody wants to put on the chat or the Q&A. So I have those open to me right now. Let's see, if your child has already completed the corporal works of mercy, can they submit them? Yes. Anything that's been done in the past in terms of the corporal works of mercy, as long as it was done in the past and you've got the log and on the old program, points. God, it's a great program. I'd like to be doing it. It's just I can't. So can you do any of the corporal works of mercy moving forward this year? No, you can't. You got to use the spiritual. But if it's already been done, you're already getting points. You are owed points for sure. Oh, you're most welcome. Yep. Oh, great. All right. Did I miss anything? All right. If I don't see another one, then thank you all very much for coming. This was recorded as well, although I hopefully Thursdays will be better, and that'll be the one that I leave up on the web. So I'm going to try to get into the thank you very much. I hope to record things and get them up there. I don't like jamming people's schedules and things like that. I want you to be able to get the information. That's the most important thing. So good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Email me and you'll hear from me tomorrow. I'll send you those 4 files that I just showed you. And So apparently they tell me I'll know who was on this. So, all right. Good night.